The other night, I was listening to Scott Reich and I wrote underneath his video, I've never seen such precious time being wasted as much as it has been in the Lori Vallow Daybell case. No justice at all. I've been saying this from the very beginning, and I got criticized for saying that Lori Vallow has used her privileged status to get away with crime. I got criticized. And now what I thought from the very start has come true. She has gotten nothing but a slap on the wrist. She is not going to pay for what she did anytime soon. So they can send her murder charge after murder charge after murder charge. Nothing is going to happen while she remains in the nut house. Now, if that were me, I would be in prison right now. They wouldn't accept that I'm mentally ill, I can tell you that. They would have thrown my Negro self in prison and they would have said, shut up, and they would have locked the door and thrown away the key. But Lori Vallow, oh poor Lori, she's just so mentally disturbed. She's mentally ill. Oh, poor Lori. I've had enough of the poor Lori charade. And I've been also saying that it's been a very, very badly handled and mismanaged case. And you can see that, and I was also criticized for saying this, that the murder charges took too long to come. And they eventually did. I was very happy, thinking finally things were going to start, things were going to start coming to fruition. And it didn't happen. But now you can see, even after the murder charges, the case is just dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. We're all going to die of old age before the trial starts. There's no case here. There's no case. It's just been a case of fodder, media attention, headlines. That's what it's been. It's been a media circus to get ratings. And yet there is still no justice for Tammy. There's still no justice for Tylee and JJ. There is still no justice for all the other victims, including Charles Vallow. It is abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent, that they have allowed, the court system in America have allowed Lori Vallow to manipulate the justice system in the way they have. It's an absolute, this case is an absolute travesty of justice. And I've been saying that from day one. When the murder charges came, I was hoping that I was going to be proved wrong. But unfortunately, I was right from the very beginning. And you're telling me you marry a woman who has dependable children. You don't see these kids for weeks. And you don't ask, Lori, where are your kids? And when you're questioned about these children, you dodge questions and you go to Hawaii. And they don't think, Chad's kids don't think that's strange? Give me a break. Give me a break. He's guilty. The evidence is all there. They're just ignoring it. And another thing, the big question that the interviewer, Jonathan, didn't ask is, didn't you think it was suspicious that Lori and Chad got married only weeks after Tammy Daybell died? That question was never asked. It was a big miss as far as I'm concerned. I would have loved to have seen the answer to that question. It was a big, big miss. Don't you find it suspicious that Lori and Chad got married only weeks after Tammy Daybell died? That question was never asked. And we never got an answer. But if they don't think that's suspicious, then something is definitely wrong. I've gotten so angry and frustrated with the Lori Vallow Daybell case, and I no longer cover it as a crime case on my channel. And to be quite frank, it's a waste of time. The case is a waste of time, and I don't need to cover it as a crime case because there is no crime case, because everything is on pause. What are we going to do? Just talk about all of this stuff while it's on pause, while there's no criminal trial? I mean, you can only talk about something so much until you're blue in the face. I will talk about it now and then. The characters, the behaviors, and all of those things to do with psychopathy and sociopathy and narcissism and ego and all that kind of stuff, because this channel is about human behavior. As a criminal case, it's a complete flop. A complete flop as a criminal case, no matter what happens in the end. Because we're all probably going to be dying of old age by the time the trial starts. So anyway, there's 2 cases that I'm following and that I'm very interested in and that I'm going to be talking about. That is the Murdoch case in South Carolina. Very interested in that, and I've got an opinion on that. And the Elizabeth Holmes case. But I'm particularly right now interested in the Murdoch case, and I think they need to look at the husband, and I'll talk about that another time. I've added to this podcast simply because I did not hear the new recordings by Chad Daybell until Saturday. And they were very long. And also, I wanted to hear a perspective on it. The people who released the recordings, they had a perspective, and I wanted to listen to that. And it's really weird because they were talking about narcissism when it comes to Chad Daybell. And I always believe that him and Laurie, I think Laurie is more of the narcissist than Chad. But they were talking about, these people were talking about, Chad being a narcissist. And the weird thing is, when I listen to his recordings and all that I know of him, he doesn't have any charisma whatsoever. I mean, I'm not saying that all narcissists have charisma, because they don't. I mean, I know narcissists that have no charisma whatsoever. But most narcissists have a lot of charisma. And there is something very attractive about them, even if it's not their outer appearance. It might be the fact that they just have a very attractive personality. Chad is neither attractive on the outside. He has absolutely no charisma whatsoever. I mean, I just don't understand what Laurie saw in him. I don't get it. He's not attractive, neither on the outside or personality-wise. And he has absolutely no charisma whatsoever. I mean, he has zero charisma. And that is very unusual for somebody who is a narcissistic cult figure. Because even Charles Manson had charisma. I mean, I would say that Charles Manson was very, very charismatic. And despite the fact that he was kind of short and dumpy looking, I can understand why females, and a lot of his followers were females, I can understand why females were attracted to him, because he had charisma. Chad has none. I mean, he has zero charisma whatsoever, in my opinion. So he's very unusual in that sense to me. After hearing the tapes and the recordings, people were discussing whether they actually think that Chad believes in what he's saying. And, some people said that they've changed their mind. They had an opinion. And then when they heard this recording, this is apparently a recording where Laurie Vallow first heard him speak. Some people say when they heard that recording, they changed their mind. In totality, in its complete, the complete picture of it all, I believe that both Laurie and Chad are phony. And I don't think they genuinely believe any of what they're saying, or any of the doctrine, or any of the... I don't think that Chad believes everything that he's saying to a T. I think he's somewhat delusional, but I don't think he's delusional enough to be completely whitewashed. So, I think he knows the difference between right and wrong. I don't think that he is mentally ill at all. I think he knows the difference between right and wrong. I don't think he's mentally ill. I think he has a need for his ego to be fed. That's what I believe. I think he is a narcissist and he has a need for his ego to be fed. And I think Laurie Vallow fed his ego because she, at the very least, pretended to believe in what he was saying and was interested in the books that he was writing, probably more than his wife was. And, when you look at Tammy and Laurie, they don't look anything alike. And I think that's part of the attraction. Tammy was a salt to the earth, down to earth woman who was only interested really in being a good Christian and a wife and a mother. And Laurie is more glamorous and cares about fashion and putting herself together and wearing lipstick and makeup and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that Tammy didn't wear makeup and that she had no interest in looking nice or attractive. I'm not saying that. But I think for Laurie Vallow, I think she really used her looks to manipulate people. I think that's one of the things that she used to manipulate people. I think they're both manipulators. I think they have a codependent relationship. Do I think that Chad believes in some of the things that he says, some of the visions? Possibly. But he knows the difference between right and wrong, and that's the fundamental point. He knows the difference between right and wrong. He knows that, he knows that he had to flee to Hawaii to escape questions about Tylee and JJ, and he knows that people would never believe his theories on this light and dark stuff, the dark spirits. You don't actually hear him talking about, as far as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, if you've heard the recording, you don't actually hear him talking about light or dark spirits in this recording. So I think he knows how to manipulate people to a certain extent. And I think he knows how far to go with some people, what not to say to some people, and what to say to others. That's my opinion.